Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast channel for beginners to learn English. I'm Pink, and our topic today is preparing food. Before we get into the lesson, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It will motivate me to make videos every day for everyone, and please comment and give me feedback if you feel something is not right and I need to improve. Thank you very much. Now, let's get started. Jack was feeling the familiar pangs of hunger in his stomach as he walked to the kitchen. The house was quiet, with sunlight streaming softly through the curtains. It was mid-morning, and Jack decided that making himself a delicious breakfast would be the perfect way to start his day. The kitchen, neat and tidy, greeted him with its usual coziness. Jack loved cooking. It was a small but fulfilling ritual that gave him a sense of accomplishment. He opened the fridge and pulled out a carton of eggs, feeling the cold, smooth surface of the container. Eggs were his favorite breakfast food. They were versatile, easy to cook, and always satisfying. Next, he opened the pantry and grabbed a bottle of oil. He enjoyed the simplicity of these ingredients, knowing that with just a few steps, he could create something delicious. On the counter, he noticed the skillet sitting neatly on its hook. He placed it on the stove with care, as though preparing for an artist's work. Jack turned on the heat and poured a small amount of oil into the skillet. The oil glistened in the light as it spread evenly across the pan. While the skillet warmed up, Jack took a bowl from the cabinet. He cracked the eggs with precision, letting the golden yolks drop into the bowl. The cracking sound was satisfying, and Jack smiled as he repeated the motion. He grabbed a fork and began to stir the eggs, watching the yolks and whites swirl together into a creamy mixture.
As the skillet began to heat, the oil shimmered, signaling that it was ready. Jack carefully poured the eggs into the skillet, and the mixture sizzled immediately upon contact with the hot surface. The aroma of cooking eggs filled the kitchen, making Jack's mouth water. He loved the way the eggs danced in the oil, small bubbles forming at the edges. It was a comforting sound, a reminder of the simple joys in life. Jack watched the eggs closely as they cooked, adjusting the heat to ensure they wouldn't burn. He gently moved them around with a spatula, feeling the smooth texture under his hand. After 2 minutes, the eggs were perfectly done, soft, fluffy, and golden. He turned off the heat and transferred them onto a clean white plate. The contrast of the bright yellow eggs against the white plate was striking. Jack took a moment to admire his handiwork. Cooking wasn't just a necessity for him, it was an act of creation. Carrying the plate to the dining room table, Jack felt a sense of satisfaction. The table was made of polished wood, its surface gleaming under the sunlight. He placed the plate in the center and pulled out a large wooden chair, which creaked slightly as he sat down. For a moment, he paused to think about the day ahead. Jack liked to plan his mornings while enjoying his breakfast. It gave him a sense of direction and purpose. Jack picked up a spoon and took his first bite. The eggs were warm and flavorful, the perfect consistency. He savored each bite, eating slowly and deliberately. As he ate, his mind wandered. He thought about the errands he needed to run, the books he wanted to read, and the quiet evening he had planned for himself. Eating his breakfast was more than just fueling his body, it was a moment of reflection and mindfulness. After finishing his meal, Jack felt content. He stood up and carried the plate back to the kitchen. Cleaning up was an important part of his cooking ritual. He grabbed a bottle of dishwashing soap and squeezed a small amount onto the plate. The soap smelled fresh and citrusy, a scent Jack always found energizing. He turned on the faucet, letting warm water flow over the plate as he scrubbed it clean with a sponge. The simple act of cleaning was almost meditative for him. Once the plate was clean, Jack turned his attention to the skillet. It still retained some heat, so he let it cool for a few moments before washing it. Using the same sponge, he scrubbed away the remnants of the cooked eggs, ensuring the skillet was spotless. He dried both the plate and the skillet with a clean towel and put them back in their respective places. Next, Jack wiped down the dining room table. He dampened the sponge and ran it across the wooden surface, removing any crumbs or smudges. The table felt smooth and cool under his hand, and he appreciated the cleanliness of his home. Keeping his space tidy was one of Jack's small but important daily habits. It gave him a sense of order and clarity. With the kitchen and dining area clean, Jack felt ready to start the rest of his day. He walked into the living room and turned on the TV. The familiar hum of the television filled the room as Jack settled onto the couch. He flipped through channels, searching for something lighthearted to watch. He enjoyed this quiet time in the morning, a chance to relax before diving into his responsibilities. As the day progressed, Jack thought back to his breakfast and the simple joy it had brought him. Cooking and eating were more than just everyday activities, they were moments of connection to himself and his surroundings. Jack often reflected on how the small, intentional acts of his daily routine added up to a life filled with meaning and gratitude. On weekends, Jack liked to experiment with new recipes. Inspired by cooking shows and online tutorials, he would challenge himself to create dishes he had never tried before. Sometimes, his experiments were successful, resulting in meals that were both delicious and visually stunning. Other times, they were less than perfect, but Jack didn't mind. For him, the process was just as important as the outcome. One memorable weekend, Jack decided to try making an omelette. He had always admired how chefs on TV flipped their omelets with such ease and grace. Jack was determined to master this skill. He gathered ingredients like cheese, spinach, and tomatoes, carefully chopping them and setting them aside. As he cooked, he followed the steps meticulously, pouring the eggs into the skillet and adding the fillings at just the right moment. When it came time to flip the omelette, Jack hesitated for a moment before summoning his courage. He gave the skillet a quick, confident jerk, and to his delight, the omelette landed perfectly folded. Jack couldn't help but laugh out loud, proud of his accomplishment. Jack's love for cooking also extended to sharing meals with friends and family. He often invited loved ones over for dinner, enjoying the warmth and camaraderie of these gatherings. Preparing food for others brought him immense joy, as it was a way to express his care and appreciation. His guests always praised his cooking, and their compliments motivated Jack to continue honing his skills. Over time, Jack's kitchen became a place of creativity and connection. It was where he experimented, learned, and grew. The act of preparing food was no longer just a necessity, it was a cherished part of his life. Each meal was a celebration of flavor, effort, and the simple pleasure of nourishing oneself. As Jack reflected on his journey with cooking, he realized how much it had taught him about patience, resilience, and the value of small, intentional actions. From cracking eggs in the morning to preparing elaborate dinners, every step in the process held meaning. Cooking had become a metaphor for life itself, a series of choices, experiments, and moments of joy. Jack's story is a reminder that even the simplest routines can be transformative. By approaching everyday tasks with care and mindfulness, we can find beauty and fulfillment in the ordinary. For Jack, cooking was more than just a way to satisfy his hunger, it was a way to connect with himself, his loved ones, and the world around him. And as he continued to explore new recipes and techniques, Jack knew that his journey in the kitchen was far from over. End of today's listening here. Don't forget to like and subscribe for us so we can make videos together.